Does 3.2 seem like a filler patch to you, or could it actually be the patch we all need and want right now? And before we get into it, I want to hear your take. Are you excited about 3.2 itself, or are you already more excited about 3.3? So let's talk about it. All the way back in Honami, when we got introduced to Lahairoi and found out this expansion was going to have a school theme, I got really excited. But 3.0 and 3.1 went by so fast that it honestly feels like we barely had any time to enjoy any of it properly. And that's exactly why I'm hoping 3.2 changes that. Because if it does, then I genuinely think that 3.2 can end up being one of the best patches of this expansion. Not because it's the biggest patch or one with the most content, but because it could give the stories the pacing it needs and finally give us time to properly enjoy everything that 3.0 introduced. Because for everyone who's been here since 2.0, one thing is pretty clear: the patches has been really good, but they've also been very hectic. There has been so much cool stuff, so many story moments, so many characters, so many things to keep up with. But at the same time, a lot of the parts that looked the most enjoyable barely got any real time before the game moved past them, especially in 3.0. It somehow feels like we're already nearing the end of the expansion, even though we just got here. That's exactly why I think 3.2 could end up being the best patch of this expansion so far. Not because it has the most content, and not because it throws the coolest new stuff at us, but because it finally gives the whole expansion the pacing it needs, and let us really enjoy what 3.0 introduced. And this kind of patch has values in other ways too. It gives us time to save. Because even though Sigrika looks fun, and I do think she seems like a cool character, I can't help but feel like she's a bit awkwardly placed, both in teams and in patches. She doesn't really feel like the character most people are waiting for. So for me, that makes 3.2 even more interesting, because if this really is a calmer patch, then it becomes the perfect time to stock up on pulls and get ready for what comes next. And we all know that there are bigger characters, bigger banner, and we're still waiting for that collab further down the line. This kind of breathing room is insane value. Sometimes the best patch is not the one that makes us spend right away, it's the one that gives us room to prepare. And when it comes to the patch itself, what I personally want is pretty simple. I want more time in Star Torch Academy. I want more of that school atmosphere. The kind of content a lot of us thought we were going to get when we were first introduced to this expansion, all the way back in Honami. Because it still feels like that whole side of the expansion has so much more to give. And if 3.2 finally gives us more time with that, I think a lot of people are going to end up appreciating this patch way more than they expected. And yeah, if Cheese is back too, even better. So before we write 3.2 off as just a filler patch, I think this might actually be the patch people should be paying close attention to. Because if Kuro handles it well, which they usually do, this patch could do a lot more than just give us less content. It could give us time to breathe and actually take in everything that 3.0 and 3.1 threw at us. And in hindsight, it could end up making this whole expansion feel much better paced. So yeah, maybe 3.2 is not the flashiest patch, maybe it's not the patch that gets instant hype, but I do think the value is still there. If anything, this might be the patch that gives the expansion exactly what we've been missing. Because I still feel like there's more for me to enjoy in 3.0 than what we actually had time to enjoy when it first released. I'm not writing 3.2 off as boring just yet. If this patch gives the story a little more room to breathe, gives us more time in Star Torch Academy, and gives Kuro the space to set up what comes next, then this has real value. That is not a dead patch to me, it's a patch with a clear purpose. So let's see what Kuro actually does with it. And let me know what you think. Is 3.2 just a skip patch? Or could this end up being the kind of update that a lot of players actually want? Comment down below and check out the channel if you want more stuff. See you next time.